Hey guys, Drifter here. I have a crazy video for you today because I actually figured out exactly how big the COD Blackout map is, and I did it in a mathematically, scientifically precise way. You may have seen some other comparisons online, but I promise you this one's accurate, and the results are going to be shocking. In case you've been living under a rock or haven't heard, Black Ops 4 is coming with a new game mode called COD Blackout, which is a battle royale game. As a matter of fact, it's basically like an entirely new game on its own, which will be a Call of Duty battle royale game, kind of like Fortnite or Pubg. We don't know a lot about it at all. We haven't seen any gameplay. We've seen this really cool trailer where you see a fight with all the specialists in a building, and as it zooms out, it reveals more specialists. It reveals classic Call of Duty characters, zombies characters. You keep zooming and there's helicopters. And then finally, near the end of the trailer, it gives you this preview of what the map is going to look like. And that's kind of all that we know about it. Fans are skeptical of the COD's engine's abilities to be scaled like that. I mean, we kind of struggle with 18 players, and this game is 5v5. So how big of a map and how big of a battle royale can you get? Well, Vandahar said in the reveal that it's going to be 1,500 times the size of Nuketown. And as I said before, there have been a lot of very bad estimates online. I was trying to learn this myself, and I've seen people base them on things like walking time, bus length, building size, standard cul-de-sac size. Somebody like looked at the Nuketown cul-de-sac and compared it to like building standards and all sorts of goofy stuff, but I've got a much more exact scientific in-engine result for the size of the map. So, why don't you come along with me on today's journey of discovery and math? That can either be exciting or elicit a groan from all of you, but let's start out using Black Ops 3's Nuketown for reference size. Black Ops 4 is closest to Black Ops 3 than any other game, both in theme, style, setting, characters, etc., and it only makes sense to use the most recent version of Nuketown as well, because that's going to be closest to the version of the engine that we will see in Call of Duty Blackout. The way I got an exact length of measurement is with the weapon ranges in the game. I know that the Razorback will deal 30 damage up to 19 meters, but less than that, it'll deal 29. So if I set the health to 30, that means it's a one-shot kill at 19 meters, but it won't one-shot kill at less than that. I had J-Hub and I move around the map and trying to get really well lined up and get an area that was almost exactly 19 meters, get that kill, and then try and line it up with the grid. And if you go hit start, you can zoom in on the map and you can see the grid. And what we figured is that each one of those squares that you see is almost exactly 10 meters in length, and the gun, very much so lined up, killed in just slightly less than 2 of those squares. So given that, we can use to calculate the overall playing space of the map. Though I do think it's unfair to calculate all of this area that you see in black, what's going to be more accurate is you calculate the actual play space of the map, because that's your gaming area, and we multiply that by 1,500 in order to get the size of the new map. We are going to do both, though. The mathematical process was arduous, to say the least. I thought the simplest thing to do would be to print it out and get out the ruler and the protractor and all that sort of stuff so that I can measure all the distances and angles, and I could convert the centimeters to meters and then calculate areas. I ended up having something like almost 18 different areas to calculate with all those little cutouts, but the end result was I do now know exactly how big the Nuketown map is. And for comparison later on, we decided to do the same thing in Rapture, which is a freaking enormous map, probably the biggest one in the entire game. I got a very good idea of how big Rapture is. I did the math a little bit less precisely there. Get out of there, Jerky XP. I'm trying to do math here. Because it wasn't necessary to be as accurate on this one, and to give you an idea of the scale we're going to be talking about later, this is exactly what 100 meters looks like in the game. It's basically from the center tower to the outer fence. It's stupidly, stupidly far. So without any further ado or wasting your time, the Call of Duty Blackout map's maximum possible size is 7.4 square kilometers. That was calculated just given the roughly rectangular area of the Nuketown map, not cutting out any of the squares or any sides, just if you took its rectangular simple shape profile and plopped it right out. Now, if you want to calculate the exact play area and play size of the Nuketown map, which I think is a much more accurate measurement, it'll come down to about 4.5 square kilometers. Those numbers are significantly bigger than most of what I've been seeing online, and if you want to compare them to Pubg and Fortnite, PUBG's Erangel map, or their first map in Russia, was 64 square kilometers, which is huge, and Fortnite has a map of 5.5 square kilometers. This was reported by Riot Games in their Unreal Engine page on their website. It says 5.5 square kilometers of playable area. I'm not sure if they're referring to the land or the entire map, because the ocean you can go to, technically. You fly over, it's part of the map, and it loads. I'm going to assume that 5.5 square kilometers is the entire map, just like the PUBG map, even including the water, is 64 square kilometers. So how does that compare to the Call of Duty map? Well, the maximum possible size of the Call of Duty Blackout map looks something like this. I don't know how much of the Blackout map is going to be playable. I don't know if it has water or out of bounds areas or anything like that. But if you want to take the whole Fortnite map, including the water, and scale it to 5.5 square kilometers, and then compare that to the Call of Duty Blackout 7.4 maximum possible size, it comes out to be bigger than Fortnite, which doesn't seem logical to me. I mean, I guess I could be crazy on this, but so far the math has been holding up. If you want to compare that to the minimum possible size, which I think is going to be a much more accurate comparison, so accurate in fact I put a watermark on it, you'll see what 5.5 square kilometers compared to 4.5 square kilometers looks like. It's going to be a little bit smaller than the Fortnite map. This is the one I'm betting my money on. This is what I believe is the most accurate comparison. So accurate, in fact, I shamelessly put a watermark on it so that people don't just paste it everywhere. It doesn't seem quite right given how big some of the buildings look compared to the Fortnite buildings. All of the buildings that are in the preview for the Blackout map are freaking enormous. There's skyscrapers and dockyards and wind farms, and nothing is really particularly small there. So I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty close approximation. We're not done yet though. If you want to compare both of these maps to the PUBG map, I scaled them again, and you'll see exactly how enormous PUBG is compared to COD Blackout or to Fortnite Battle Royale. On this page, they look almost the same size, and the best way to say it would be that the COD map and Battle Royale are very close to the same, and both of them would be roughly the same size as Military Island, give or take a little bit in PUBG. Of note, I didn't put a little watermark on this one because this is not all my art. I did find one of these on Reddit from C.A. Turner's PUBG maps. He's been making these really, really high quality PUBG maps, and I couldn't find a better one, so I decided to use yours. Thank you, man. Shout out to you. Your link is right there on the screen, and Godspeed for just making good art. So these results were surprising to me. PUBG is still going to have the biggest map of all, but either way you want to cut it, maximum or minimum, the Call of Duty Blackout map should be very close in size to the Fortnite map. Even if the Call of Duty Blackout map is on the small side of things, and my math is just totally wrong and it's smaller than that, which is very possible because I was stretching the limits of my mathematics here, it could still feel bigger if your characters walk slower than the Fortnite characters, or PUBG ones for that matter, and especially if you can't build. If you can't build your way up around obstructions, if you can't just easily climb everything, then every obstruction and every piece of verticality roughly extends the feel of the size of the map. Though the trailer did show a ton of vehicles being used, and they talked about all the vehicles, and when you add vehicles to maps, like in the case of PUBG, it makes those maps seem much smaller because you can transverse them very quickly. But overall, this several hours of math I did makes Call of Duty Blackout seem like a much more promising game. It seems like a big map. I didn't want a little bitty map and 18 players like the COD Battle Royale online in China. I wanted a big one, and this map seems like it could easily support 50-100 if the engine and the lag will hold up. Some other considerations for Black Ops 4 is that you'll notice in the base multiplayer build of the game, the guns have more muzzle flash, they have smoke on the barrels, and every single gun fires tracer rounds that have a 3D tracer projectile and are super easy to see, almost as if they were designed for a Battle Royale game so that you could see where you were getting shot from. Because I don't think the COD sound system does that super long-range echolocation like you can do in PUBG, so it's probably nice to know where you're going to get shot from in COD Battle Royale. You'll see that some of the items, like the suppressor, seem to lessen the smoke and tracer rounds and muzzle flash. At least I didn't notice them when I was shooting. I could be wrong, so that might be like the power weapon in COD BR. Armor, kind of like the armor in COD Online, stems for health, grappling hooks, and some of these other items also seem to be Battle Royale oriented. However, there's still a lot of unanswered questions and some considerations left to look at. How will the hit scans work? PUBG has bullets that have to be led. They all have drop time and distance and speed and leading. Fortnite accommodates for that with all of its hit scans by making them kind of random with the little random bloom box so you just don't delete people. But Call of Duty has perfectly accurate hit scans and red dot sights. Will there be extreme damage drop-offs? Will we have bullets that aren't hit scans? Will we have some sort of RNG bloom? Will there be some sort of inaccuracy at range? I truly don't know, but there needs to be something. We don't know how health is going to work. Healing is going to work. I assume the stims are going to be used, or armor perhaps. We don't know what weapons we're going to spawn with, if it's actually fists, a knife, a pistol, something. I have no idea how the vehicles are going to function, or vehicles with gas for that matter, because you shouldn't be able to stay in them indefinitely, or their vehicle health. How many people you can put in them? A better question is, I see water on the map. Can you swim? Is it like Black Ops 4 where you can shoot out of the water? Will the final circle be on the water so you have a bunch of fish and they're hiding? Or will there even be a circle? Will it be the weird, like, snake grid-like thing that you see in Radical Heights? We don't know very much yet. But I do think that this map size gives you an idea that COD Battle Royale is going to be quite a big game. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful. If you want to see these images in their fuller resolution, there are imager links down there below in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.